How's it going, Tim?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good.
Just I know we talked after the game, but just go back to that moment in 4.9 seconds, and Leon says, "We got the ball, we need to play," and just take us through how all of it went down there.
Yeah, kind of a unique situation. We had a side out of bounds with 19 seconds to go, and we ran a play that we practice a lot that we can run without a timeout or anything, and so we had used that up. And I was actually sitting on the bench while they were doing the video review, thinking, okay, they never usually overturn these, and they don't miss a call when they're right there. So I'm sure it's going to be Fresno's ball. So I thought we would be in a defensive situation where we had to try to get a steal, try to foul, have them on the other end. So I was actually drawing up our advance play coming back to get the ball to half court to where we could get it there, call a timeout, have a chance to run a play, to get a game tying shot. And then all of a sudden they they overturned it. And Leon was like, "Hey, it's going to be our ball. So let's get something ready." And then that's where it came. So, you as we do a lot of collaboration on the bench, and it's usually a collaborative process with who's in the game, who do we want to get a shot for, and things like that. And so it just kind of evolved from there, and we got everybody where they needed to be, and it turned out good. But in those situations, you need a little help from the defense, number one, because usually they have to mess up a coverage for you to get a look, and then your guys have to execute and then make the play. I mean, all you can do is put them in a situation, and you got to give E-Man a lot of credit. He made a great pass from the dead corner. We thought the ball was going to be side out, and so everything was drawn from a side out perspective. And then we get out there, and they point us to the dead corner, which could not have been worse in terms of where to have the ball. There's not a lot you can do when the ball's in the dead corner. And E-Man looked over, and we just said, "Hey, no, same play." And, we ran it, and it worked out great. So they did actually mess up a switch, allowed, Marcus to get a little daylight, and then give him a lot of credit for, shot fake. And then, a lot of times you shot fake and take one dribble in for a 15, 16 footer. He was aware enough to know that he needed to shot fake and then keep a 3. And we work on that too. Shot fake one dribble, shot fake side dribble, keep a 3. And he did a great job there. And then, obviously he's been amazing in those situations.
You were telling me after the game, that you had looked earlier in the day at like a book or a binder or something, and just that play had popped up into your mind, or you had thought of that play. Can you go back to that? And do you remember the last time when you called that play previously?
I think we had used that a variation of that play a couple of years earlier in Fort Collins. I know we went over it in shoot around. I can't remember if we actually used it in a game or just had it ready after the shoot around. But you always have a lot of those scenarios running around in your head, both in the half court and in the full court. And so we're always ready, for whatever's going to come up. And obviously in college basketball, you never know. But with the way our season's been trending, and basically every game being a one possession game or a tight game going down the stretch, you always want to be ready for those situations when they arise, whether, you got to go the full court, whether you have time to dribble or catch and shoot, or, all those situations that are just kind of floating around in your head. And then, like I said, we always collaborate on a lot of those things. And then you got to get lucky, and your guys got to execute.
And final one for me, what was I assume that was what the original goal was, to get the ball to Marcus there, but I assume you didn't expect that to happen. What else on the play were you looking at as being a possibility there?
Well, we get the ball. The goal was to get the ball to Marcus, and obviously they probably knew that too, and they were trying to switch every screen. And then when they screwed up the coverage, and E-Man saw Marcus pop free, he did a good job throwing it there. What we actually thought might happen was Tyson Degenhart was right there where, if they switched on to Marcus, maybe we would have to throw the ball to Tyson. And, obviously he's a very good 3-point shooter. And a lot of times when you're guarded by another big, they give you space to catch. And even in those situations, bigs a lot of times don't get out on the floor. And we thought maybe Tyson could catch and get a 3 up. You got a little under 5 seconds to go. And so, it's probably going to have to be the guy that catches it is going to have to shoot it or dribble it once or twice and get a shot off. So, when Marcus popped free, that was the best case scenario for us. And, E-Man being 6'8" on the baseline probably helped because he was in the dead corner. And like I said, he threw a laser out there and got Marcus the ball in space, and then he did the rest.
I guess I'll jump on. Hey, Tim, how are you?
Hey, Jordan, how are you?
Good. I think we just saw Tyson again won Mountain West Freshman of the Year. What do you remember about his recruitment and getting him out of Spokane? Because I think he was just not, I think, a little bit under recruited based on what his coaches have been saying. What do you remember about his recruitment?
Yeah, he's the freshman of the week. He's going to be the freshman of the year, but not yet. But yeah, Leon had a past relationship with his family, and obviously RJ being from up there in that area, Mike Burns, all those guys were familiar, and we got a little lucky, I think, with the one probably lucky thing out of the pandemic, and there's been very few, if any. But Tyson came to our elite camp his junior year. We had an elite camp that summer, and just so happened I was lucky enough he was on my team, and so I got to coach him through that day of elite camp games, and just got a feel for not only his ability but his mentality, his IQ, just how mature beyond his years he was, even as a high school junior to be. And so we had some experience with him there, and then they changed the rule that year where juniors could take official visits after, during the year, the fall of his junior year. So he didn't have to wait to visit. He visited, we got him committed. And then the next fall, we were in the pandemic and nobody could take a visit. And, that helped us get, RJ Keene, who is redshirting for us this year. But so those two coming in on the same freshman class was extremely fortunate for us. And I think those situations helped, limit their visibility, to being recruited, because obviously, Tyson was under recruited and has just been an amazing, addition to our team and our program.
Did you, were there any games that you watched during his high school career at Mount Spokane that really stuck out to you?
None that we watched games, and obviously all on video. We could not watch, anything in person that year, but we did watch on video. And, he was obviously, you talk to his high school coach, who, again, Leon and those guys have a relationship with. And, the one thing about Tyson was people have always been, drawn to him as a leader, as a player. Tyson's always, you talk to his high school coach, who do the team managers, like the most? It's Tyson Degenhart. Who do the special needs kids gravitate to? It's Tyson Degenhart. He just has a spirit about him. I have a special needs daughter, and who's the person she always asks about first? And all of our guys are great, with my daughter, but she always asks about Tyson, and, he always has time for her. And he has a spirit where he draws people to him, and that his motives are pure. He's an unselfish kid. He's all about, the greater good. He's about the team, and he's about the group. And usually when you've been around, in my experience, you've been around guys like that, good things happen for them because, their heart and their mind is always in the right place. And he's a shining example of that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
I've got one, Tim, and I apologize if it's been asked. I heard you talking about the actual shot, but when did you start drawing it up? Did you wait until the review came, or what were you guys planning during the review? As the review lasted 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. It seemed like a long review. So
yeah.
What were you guys doing during the review?
Well, I had, during the review, I was telling these guys earlier, I had too much confidence in the officials. I thought that they probably got the call right. And so I was drawing up a play on the full court coming back the other way. I wasn't thinking we were going to get the ball there. And so our guys were huddled, and then Leon was, working with the officials and figuring out, okay, our ball or their ball, or, what are we going to do on the defensive side if it is their ball? And then, so I was drawing another play ahead, and then all of a sudden, and maybe that, gives you the clarity, or gave us the clarity that we needed, because all of a sudden it's bam, hey, it's our ball. Let's go. And so we just got up, and Leon and I kind of worked together on who was going to be where, and what Abu was going to be doing in the opposite corner. And, it just, it all came together from there. And like I said, we drew it up thinking the ball was on the side. And when we walk out there and they point us to the dead corner, it's like, there cannot be a worse thing to try to score out of the dead corner under your own basket. I mean, there's really not much available, to you. The ball side corner is not going to be open. The basket's not going to be open. So that really probably the only place to throw the ball is where E-Man threw it. And that, with his height and his vision to be able to get it over there, and the fact that, Marcus did pop free there for a half a second. It was actually Tyson Degenhardt's man that ended up running at Marcus, because the two guards messed up the switch, and Holland was guarding Tyson. He sees Marcus wide open, so he runs over there at him, and then, Marcus shot faked and got free for the shot. And, it's the play and everything and all those things, but the pass, number one, and then, Marcus just being as clutch as he's been for us, number two, couldn't have worked out better for us.
I mean, the only other one I have for you, Tim, you've been around basketball a long time. What do you see in this uncanny ability of this team to come through in the clutch?
I think it's we've been through, so many of those situations. Now we've been in so many of those games that I think we're just totally comfortable as a team, as a staff together, in those situations that, number one, we're not going to panic. Number two, things are, somebody's going to make a play. It's not, hey, so-and-so, you got to go make a play, or so-and-so, you got to go make a shot. It's somebody is going to make a shot. And I think, like I was talking about Tyson earlier, because his motives, his mind, his mindset, he has no other agenda other than winning. And I think that's really our whole team. Guys they really have no other agenda other than trying to figure out how to win the game, trying to figure out how to get this stop, trying to figure out how to score this basket. And when your only agenda is winning, it gives you a clarity, as a group, and a lot of other things. A lot of times maybe guys are thinking about aren't in the picture, and it gives you a clarity to execute and to see, and hey, you're going to make the right play. You're going to make the play the game tells you to make, because, hey, I'm not going to throw it to my friend, or I'm not going to throw it to him, or I'm not happy with him. He missed me earlier in the game. None of that stuff is on the plate. It's all about how are we going to try to figure out how to win? And I'm going to make the play that the game tells me to make. And like I said, when you have that mindset collectively, things are a lot simpler.
Thanks, Tim.
Hey, Tim, kind of piggybacking off that, just have one for you. You think about your time in Logan, your time now in Boise. What makes this year's team unique and special?
I've had the pleasure of being around a lot of good coaches and a lot of good teams. And I think the one thing that every really good team I've been around has is that component of winning is the only agenda. And it's a lot harder to genuinely come by than it sounds. And I think the component, we have a totally and completely unselfish group. And we have guys that are content in playing roles that a lot of times guys don't want to play. Mladen Armas doesn't care if he scores a point. He cares about how good he defends, how many offensive rebounds can he get, not so that he can score, but so it gives us another possession, which increases our chances of winning. Abu Kijab is gonna make every junkyard dog type of play doesn't think twice about diving on the floor. Tyson Degenhart takes 5 charges in the game at Fresno. That was probably even more important than that, than that last play. And so you go by each scenario. Marcus has had halves where, he's struggled offensively, and that hasn't burdened him, where when it comes down to having to make a shot or win the game, he's free-minded enough to know that, he's going to be able to make that play or make that shot. And he doesn't have any other agenda. So I just think the purity of teamism, and when teamism is at a high level, that's when teams do really special things. And that's an easy thing to say, and that's a really, really hard thing to do, especially a lot of times with older guys, that have been other places, that have aspirations to continue their basketball careers. It's really hard. And I think that's one of Leon's great strengths, is that, he can let guys see down the road, hey, this is what's important for you down the road, but that's not as important as what's going on right now and what you can do right now to help this team, this group, and get them to really care about each other, care about the coaches and the players. And I think that's what this group has. And it's not something you can bottle. It's not something you can plan every year that's going to happen. You try to make it happen. Sometimes it does. And when it does, you can maximize whatever this group's max is. We have a chance to get to that level because we have no other agendas other than winning.
Thanks, Tim.
Tim, I had one quick follow-up. Is Wyoming your scout?
It is.
What do you make on the quick turnaround? If you could just give us your thoughts on the game last week, obviously. And I know Graham Ike was giving you guys a handful, but what's your thoughts on the turnaround and having to go to Laramie on Thursday?
Yeah, it's kind of unique that you play, a team basically 8-9 days apart, play them twice. It helps a lot from a preparation perspective, and it also gives you challenges, in, hey, do we want to do the exact same thing? Do we need to do something different? You don't want to outthink yourself when defense is a strong component of your team, but they're obviously extremely hard to guard in Laramie. Altitude is always a factor in your depth. They have a game tonight, which obviously, keeps them from prepping for us until tomorrow. But, when you get into league, 2 days is really enough time to prepare for another team. And so they won't be shorthanded in terms of time to prep. And, you have the same problems with them whenever you play them, wherever you play them. And, they're the number 1 team in the country and playing out of the post. And so, that's where everything has to start. And yet, they obviously are a very good three-point shooting team. So, we'll try to have a couple wrinkles maybe that we haven't shown them before. It's weird because this is the 3rd time we've prepared for them, and yet only the 2nd time to play them. So it feels like we prepare for Wyoming every week of the year. And so we'll get that second game out of the way come Thursday.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
you.
Tim.
You betcha. Appreciate it.